Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now, this is almost Christmas time. We all have a little bit of free time on our hands, whether you're in school and Christmas break has started or you're at work and you have a little bit of time off to celebrate Christmas and Boxing Day and New Year's and whatever, and even if you're not like in the northern hemisphere or you don't celebrate Christmas, I'm sure you have a little bit of free time anyway, cuz let's be honest, the days are getting shorter. You don't really want to go out all the time anyway, cuz it's like dark at like 4 p.m. now. Where are you going to go? How long are you going to possibly stay out? So I'm sure we're all looking to, watch something new. So I'm just here to give you guys a few recommendations that you can watch during the winter time and get done relatively quickly. These are all pretty short animes that you can enjoy and finish in a couple days, maybe a week tops, individually. And so if you really wanted to and you wanted to binge them, you could probably watch everything on this list, depending on how long your breaks are and how invested you are. So let's just start off with the number one, and these are not in any particular order. I'm not saying number one is better than number six or vice versa. These are all just, I'm just going to tell you the names, give you how long they are, and a rough synopsis of what they are, so you can decide whether each one is for you. And these are not like by any means like, oh, hidden masterpieces that you never saw, whatever. It's just really good animes that perhaps you haven't seen, perhaps you have, and if you have, ignore that one and go on to the next and just do that until you find one you want to watch. So starting number one, Moriarty the Patriot. This is an anime about Victorian England, in which a aristocrat is trying to dismantle the very concept of aristocracy, or the concept in which you're born by certain rankings, and if you're born a noble, then you'll live a great life regardless of how worthless or regardless of how little you do, and if you're born a peasant, then regardless of how well you do in life, it essentially doesn't matter, you're going to die poor. And there's just basically everyone is stuck in these rigid classes that you can't break down. So that's exactly what Moriarty is attempting to do. I'm not going to give away any more than that. It's 24 episodes split into two seasons. Of the first season is 11 episodes and the second season is 13. Although they're not really split seasons, they're actually just one season, but it was sort of split up for unknown reasons. I don't really know. Maybe there's someone who knows. So anyway, this is a show that I finished really recently, and unbelievably good show. Phenomenal. I really recommend it to everyone. I believe I have it rated at a 9 out of 10, and I do not regret that rating in the slightest. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, number two. This one is a movie, so really short. You can get that done anytime you have time to watch a movie. I don't know. So, Garden of Words. This is a 40-minute movie, which is absolutely phenomenal. The animation is so beautiful. It is among the most beautiful anime I've ever seen in my life. And it's hard to explain the Garden of Words. It's essentially about two people who are lost in their lives and don't really know what they should do and don't really have a passion for anything, and so they end up finding each other and sort of becoming close friends in a way, despite the fact that they're so different and they don't really know anything about each other. They just it's a high school kid who just happens to go to a park to draw, and it's just an elderly, well, I'm not going to say elder, but it's an older woman who just happens to go to the park and just drink, and essentially just they both try to avoid their reality of their lives, and just by going into this park and just ignoring everything for a little bit of time. So, this was, again, a 40-minute movie. I highly recommend it. It was one of those movies that I watched, and for the next day or so, you were kind of just lost as to, oh my God, what do I do now? It was fascinating. I really recommend it to anyone. So number three, To Your Eternity. This is perhaps the most famous thing that's on this list, maybe one of them. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but if you haven't, To Your Eternity is an absolutely phenomenal anime. It's only 20 episodes long. And it's about an eternal an immortal creation, something that sort of lives forever and sort of has these amazing abilities to sort of transform and create. It's like a vessel of God, basically, something that God created to sort of observe humanity. He just created something that was going to live forever so that that thing could experience everything humanity has to offer, from the good and bad. And not even just humanity, it experiences everything. It can transform into an animal or a tree. A tree is not a good example because what would you do? But like an animal or a human or different humans. And so it's about the exploration of humanity and exploration of like being itself. Like how is it that something which is so away from humanity is able to somehow interact with humanity and become part of it and like care for it? Like that the thing that, I don't know, that bead, sure, that God created, is like, how does it grow to care for humanity and care for people and become human? It's like Detroit Become Human in anime. Phenomenal. Again, just very philosophical, and if you haven't noticed, I really sort of enjoy that stuff. Really good. Another one is Odd Taxi. Odd Taxi is a 13 episode like mystery, I suppose is the best way to categorize it. It's basically about a taxi driver who lives like a basically normal life, and he meets like a lot of unique people as in his job. And so, you know, he's a very simple person. He doesn't really interact with a lot of people. He just sort of does his job. He's quiet. He just wants to, you know, do his job in the middle of the night, go home, go to sleep, whatever. And so it's fascinating because his life gets sort of turned upside down by the case of like a missing girl, and the police track the leads back to him. And so now everyone is on his tail, and he's trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? And it's just really cool. And there's a phenomenal twist at the end that I really recommend that you should watch. It's just, I believe this is one of the first things in a long time that I've given a 10 out of 10. And like, it's rated an 8.7 out of 10, which is like a really high rating, and it deserves it for really good reason. And next I would recommend to you Link Click. Now I will confess something before I go further. I have not finished Link Click. I am currently in the process of watching it. I'm almost finished, and after finishing this video I will finish it probably. So maybe I should have recorded the video after, but well, it's too late now. I'm already pretty far in. So Link Click is about these two friends who have this weird ability in order to be able to use a picture to travel to the picture. So let's say if they have a picture of you and your family, they could use that photo to enter the picture as you or as your mom or whatever, whoever's in the picture, and be them for a little bit of time, for 24 hours. But you know, they have these rules that, okay, well, you can't change the future in any meaningful way. So it's like, if someone comes up to them and says, okay, well, listen, I want you to do this for me. Here's this photo, and I want you to go back and I want you to tell this girl that I really liked her or whatever. I don't know. For example, you wouldn't be able to do that, presumably, because it would vastly alter the future. Because if he now told that girl that he liked her, perhaps that your client would end up marrying her, and it would change the reality that he would never come to you. So you get stuck in this weird causation loop, and you're sort of like, you can't do that. So it's a really weird and cool anime. And you know, it's really weird because you have to enter the body of someone, you have to be them, and it's like, and you have to experience life through them, which is really weird to think about, because think about how much sympathy you feel for people you don't even know. You know, sometimes you're maybe watching a video or you're watching someone on the street and you just feel so much sympathy for them. Like maybe you feel bad for them, maybe you feel good for them, whatever. You sympathize with people. Now imagine how much sympathy, how much you'd be able to sympathize with someone if you became them. Like, that is really cool to think about, and it's also really hard to accept. So again, phenomenal anime so far. I have not finished it, but I still nonetheless really do recommend it because I have a ton of friends who have finished it and they all recommend it. So I have no doubt it'll be fantastic. And last but certainly not least, Banana Fish. Banana Fish is a 24 episode anime about a gang leader in New York City, and basically this really smart guy named Ash Lynx and his life, and sort of how he has to survive in this cruel, heartless world of like the mob that he lives in. And he's like a 17-year-old, so he's just stuck in a world that's way too harsh, way too unforgiving for a kid to be in, but nonetheless, that's the world he's stuck in and he has to survive. And so you see how hard it is for someone who is a caring individual and how heartless at times he has to become to survive in that world. And it's just how much he gets taken advantage of and hurt, and it's just really, really beautiful anime. So, okay, we have just closed in on like 10 and a half minutes, so I don't really want to keep this going for any longer. So that is my list of 6 anime I really recommend you should watch during this winter break. If you guys have any more recommendations, please toss them in the links below, in the comments below, rather. Links, jeez. Well, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. You guys have a good night.